Hey everybody, it's Eric Nova Motorcycles again. And here we are on another beautiful day with another cool 80s bike to look at. Today, we're going to check out a 1989 Honda Transalp. I'm not going to say it's the granddaddy, but it's definitely a distant nephew of distant uncle of all of today's adventure bikes. So a little backstory. between like 88 and 1990 or so, Honda brought some very cool models to the US market. And for the most part, they kind of flopped. They've become cult classics. People who really like certain kinds of motorcycles have lusted after them. And they include bikes like the Honda CB1, which I race one of, a 400cc, 16-valve, four-cylinder, liquid-cooled mini sport bike. The VTR 250, a V-twin 250 double overhead cam, liquid-cooled miniature sport bike. The Honda Hawk, which was a single-sided swing arm, V-twin, liquid-cooled, very cool. Like it was a naked bike before the Monster was a naked bike. Super cool bikes, and then this, the Transalp, which is a 650cc liquid-cooled V-twin. The motor shares basically the same. It's the same motor as a 650 Honda Shadow. The same motor, from the 500 Shadow, also using like the 500 V-twin Ascot. They used it in a lot of stuff, and it's a very good but very tested and mass-produced solid lump of power making. But in like 1989, there weren't very many big off-road bikes or on off-road bikes. You wouldn't call this a dirt bike, other than perhaps the BMW GS, which was by 89 was 1,000cc. But still a air-cooled airhead motor, which getting pretty dated at that point. Kind of heavy, not very super good for off-road work. All the other dual sport bikes were like the KLR Kawasaki, the XR Hondas, the DR 650s, and those were basically really bloated dirt bikes that were too heavy for off-road use and too dirt-oriented for any good on-road use. So Honda came out with this, and it's really, still not a single track bike. You don't take adventure bikes on, serious off-road stuff in general. But it's also a bike that works great on the road. It's smooth for highway riding. You have this upright riding position like all ADV bikes where you can see traffic, long travel suspension where you can absorb potholes, not just off-road stuff. And it was also light enough to still be decent off-road. So, basically, the sum is it was ahead of its time. This is what the trend is now. All the modern bikes that people are buying, not all, but a significant portion of what people are buying now is ADV machines. And you notice that they went from these 1200 GSs, 1250s. Now the 800s are super popular. The 650s are super popular still. So there's something to be said about this mid-range package of a bike that's powerful enough, but not so heavy that if you fall over on the fire road somewhere, you can't pick it up. So sad thing, I have mixed feelings about the American motorcycle market. I think we miss a lot of the good stuff in our need for the biggest bike, the fastest straight line speed, stuff like that, which really takes away anything from the actual experience of riding a motorcycle. And this is just one of a few that came and didn't really catch on. And you'll see, it was 35 years ahead of its time by a lot of metrics. I mean, Harley finally figured out, put a big V-twin engine in an ADV machine, and they have the Pan America, which is selling pretty well now. Other than this, I think it took until the early 2000s for other companies to really catch on. BMW got the 650 GS going a little earlier, mid-90s. Yamaha had the TDM 850, which I had one of those as well, and that had a lot of potential, but also kind of boring. It didn't have the character of this. This with the V-twin engine actually has still grunt and torque of more of an off-road machine, or that kind of low-end grunt that is so satisfying to ride. Beyond that, it was an 80s Honda. It had moderate bells and whistles, and everything worked well. Got full plastic going on, very much in the 80s style. You had enough electricity to power your gear if you needed, and it just worked well. So I think it's safe to say these sold very well in Europe and actually kept getting made into bigger machines. Sadly, they didn't stick around here, and have really only come back recently in the form of like the Africa Twin, which started off life as a V-twin in Europe and now is a parallel twin. Still a great bike, not the original thing, and I kind of wish these had stuck around. So if you have thoughts about ADV riding, if you have thoughts about American motorcycle or the American market, what it does to motorcycles in particular, always an interesting topic. Chime in, let us know. And if you ever had one of these, let us know. Everybody I know who's owned one either still has it or wishes they never sold it. So thanks. And if you're watching, please like and subscribe. And thanks.